last year, myself and my supervisor and a few co-workers were invited to Art and Culture Night. And we were kind of asked to use it as an opportunity to demonstrate some of the research that we've been doing, but apply it in a context that was fun and engaging. The theme of the night was Terry Pratchett. So the challenge for us was, how do we take what we've been doing on a day-to-day basis and apply this to a series of works of fiction? So our expertise essentially lies in things like entity linking, knowledge-based construction, information extraction, information retrieval. I stopped right before I put deep learning on there. But essentially what we do is we mine information from historical documents, letters, journals, diaries, things like this that sit in a historical archive. And the challenge that we face is, how do we identify the people and the places in these documents, and then annotate them in some consistent way so that people can find them. With Pratchett, the initial intention was to do the same thing, but it's Pratchett. So there has to be some special aspect to this thing, and I'll kind of get on to the weird idea we had in the second half of the talk. Our initial step was to kind of go to what we knew. So in order to apply the techniques that we knew, what we needed was a source of information that could explain Pratchett's world to us. And we started with the L-Space Wiki, which is a wiki that's created by fans of Terry Pratchett. They read the books, they document their favorite characters. Some of them actually draw pictures of their own and post them online. They actually break this content down really nicely. They have the race of characters, different names by which this character may be known, relatives. We can actually identify the parents of this character. So for something like entity linking, one of the features that we use to establish what character is being talked about in a given context is their relationships with the surrounding character in context, with surrounding characters in context. So we took this and we turned it into a knowledge base, which looks like this. I can appreciate that's not very attractive. But what you'll be able to see if you come down and check out the stall down the back is the computer is able to extract information like, okay, we know this person is Rincewind. He speaks this language. He has a connection with the Arch-Chancellor. He, at some point, has had a conversation with this person or interacted with this person. We were extremely superficial about this. The whole thing took place over the course of about 4 weeks. So it was a frantic kind of assemble information, do a thing, move on. So we captured at a very high level what are the names that this character has and what relationships do they have with other existing characters. We then fed the computer the books to see what it would do. So the computer would see something like this, right? An extract of text from a book. It had to do two things. It had to figure out who or what is mentioned. So these are mentions of things that I might be interested in. 3 people, Braft, Weasel, and Rincewind. And then identify who specifically those people are, right? Now, not just because I've embedded a link in a PDF, right? But clicking on this link will take us to an external knowledge source. We get back to the wiki via those annotations. So the computer hasn't just identified the person, it's also connected us to any other information that may be available to us about that person via that source of knowledge. I have just clicked out of my PDF. Well done, me. So that's really, really valuable, right? We have this connection to other external things. Another thing which gives us is consistency, right? And this is the thing that we played on the most. With this done, we essentially just started to have fun. Can we do things, for example, like look at how characters interact with each other over the course of the novel? So down the left here, you have the names of different characters. These are instances, tangible instances of specific characters. Each blue mark is a point in a book at a word offset where they're mentioned. So this is the amazing Maurice and his traveling rodents, his band of traveling rodents. And my favorite kind of go-to here is the character Death. Death gets a little mention right here at the end. Now you can zoom in on this in the actual demo down the back. If you zoom in, you'll see that Death overlaps with only 2 characters, dangerous beings up here, and Maurice, the cat, down here. Cover your ears if you don't like spoilers. They are dead at that point, and they're negotiating for their lives. So this kind of abstracted position, it just gives us a high-level view of how characters interact over the course of the book. Alternatively, this is actually, sorry, these 2 sequels that we put together. So this is Going Postal and Making Money. So you can see Moist Monolithic here is consistently the protagonist through both books, but we also have the antagonist of the first book who drops off, and then the antagonist of the second book who kicks in. And this in and of itself is a really interesting challenge, because Cosmo Lavish is obsessed with veterinary in the book. So there are points in the book where he's actually referred to by the name veterinary. So for the computer, it has to figure out, am I talking about veterinary, the actual patrician, or is it Cosmo Lavish in a moment of madness? We did things like co-occurrence matrices. So colors here tell us which characters in the books are strongly related, and distance to each other matters. So these are little clusters of characters that, for some reason, were deemed to be linked by some overarching concept, thought, theme. I will confess right now, 4 weeks, we probably could have used a better clustering algorithm. We used k-means. The point here was to illustrate that this could be done, right? And if you take a little bit more time, you can do more sophisticated groupings. And then, of course, networks, because graphs are always fun. The size of a node is how important that person was to the book. The thickness of a line is how strong the relationship was to the character mentioned. These are all interactive. You can come down and play with them at the back after the talk. And in fact, this is something that's kind of best experienced live and tangibly. Right, so as I said, we had to do something a little bit more interesting because it is Pratchett. Someone on the team copped rather brilliantly. I won't say who their name was, but they are, of course, very intelligent and right in front of me. Terry Pratchett published a series of atlases. These atlases are actually reasonably to scale. So he has atlases for Ankh-Morpork, he has atlases for Lancre, he has atlases for Death's Domain, and the entire disk itself. So we were able to figure out from his atlases roughly what the size of Discworld is, how far apart certain things are, and then based on fan publications online, what specific regions the Discworld broke down into. And we were able to create a GIS, a proper GIS map of Discworld. This is effectively Google Maps for Discworld. This was 2 weeks hiding down the back of a room, frantically drawing. It worked out really well, actually. So you can zoom right in on this. We have biome information. We have regions. This is a search for all mentions of places that occur in the book Small Gods. And this is the really important part. These two projects evolved separately over the course of the 4 weeks, right? There wasn't really an intention to stitch them together. But within the last, I think it was about 24 hours, it was an all-nighter the night before, we found that both the map and all the work that we'd done on processing text in the books were speaking the same language. They were both linked by a common knowledge base, the L-Space Wiki. We stapled them together, and suddenly the map is able to tell us things about the book, right? So these are the places that are mentioned in the books. We had someone who manually came along. Oh, not just that. If you click on one of these links, it'll tell you more information about the place. That's also pulled in from the knowledge base. That could come in from the book itself, but we pulled it from the knowledge base. We had people, I guess I haven't got that in there. So we can zoom right in. This is a map of Ankh-Morpork. So this is just scroll in. You'll see it down the back if you come there. So we were able to plot the streets. Those streets are vectors. This isn't a static image. If you want to, you could do a route through Ankh-Morpork. We just didn't do that. And you can search for specific things. So I called the talk Which Way to the Ankh-Morpork Post Office. There it is. And there's a little bit of information about it. I don't think I have a slide on it. But we also had someone who manually plotted a route through a book. So it was Witches Abroad. She drew a line and kind of showed the major points of the book and where they occurred on the disc. So I think I have kind of a ham-fisted attempt at a take-home message, which is computers are as much an artistic tool as they are a means of analysis. What I'm really trying to say is we had an awful lot of fun doing this. We shouted quotes from Pratchett across the lab at each other for about 4 weeks. But the best part of it was when we actually demoed it. It was how much everyone in the audience engaged with it as well. And it's really gratifying when that happens, but it's something to really strive for as well in any attempt to digitize and publish our material online. The point is engagement. The point is to reach out to people. And there were standard things that we did. We immediately went to our grab bag of tools and we did the things that we knew how to do, and that was fine. It worked out really well. We had great crack with that. But the thing that everyone walks away talking about is the map, that little unique flavor of Pratchett that we could introduce because we were aware that certain resources existed and because someone had enough enthusiasm to assemble that resource in the end. Now, with a crowd of enthusiastic Pratchett fans, you could expand that map no end. It's just Ankh-Morpork and the disk itself at the moment. But for individual collections that librarians curate and they're publishing online, no one knows better than you guys what the unique characteristics of your collection are and how to put those on display. So I think it's just something that I kind of like to encourage at the end of the talk is, there are the standard things we can do, but what are the unique things for your collection and how do we leverage those to really encourage people to have a look at the things that we curate. So that's me. If you want to get in touch, that's my email address. Thanks very much.